Alright, Cody, this is my Simic deck with Momir Simic Visionary as my commander. A lot of tutoring, a lot of draw, and very weak body. So, commander damage is not really the goal of this. And my lands include utility lands that put +1/+1 counters on creatures, some mana fixing lands because it's only 2 colors, so it's pretty easy. A little way to give some of my creatures flash. There's a lot of elves in this deck, so untapping, getting an extra little ability here or there. And to give other things besides lands flash. Search, gives me a little bit of extra mana. Mana fixing, mana fixing, mana fixing. And let's see, 12 forests, 9 islands, and if you were able to keep track and count, that's 32 lands. 32 lands in a commander deck? Not that great. How can it work? Well, okay, I lied, I forgot a land. 33 lands. Well, there is a large number of mana dorks in this deck. In fact, there are some mana dorks that turn non-mana dorks into mana dorks. A little bit of fixing here too. Gives my elves a little bit of a boost. And this one gives me more mana as the game goes along. A little bit of mana fixing there too. And a decent number of drawing mechanics. One-time use, repeated use, and pseudo-draw mechanics that let me look at the top card of my library and can let me play it. This one, also pseudo-draw. And these two right here are kind of the stars of my draw mechanic. For every creature card or spell that I play, I will get a card draw. Both amount, 2 of them. And this one's for every land I play. I draw a card and gain a life. This guy is also a little bit of a star, but only because of his second ability. The first one, for every druid spell I play. All those mana dorks, they're druids, man. And then I tap 7 untapped druids I control. I can control all lands target player controls. And I have some minor counter spells, but they're more geared towards countering abilities than spells overall. Got little nifty side effects from them, adding mana to my mana pool, or in this particular case specifically, gives me a strong creature, because I'm assuming I'm going to be using this to get rid of one of their big creature spells. And, well, it's nice to have a messed up elf that counters stuff. And just to prevent them from countering my creature spells, because it's very creature heavy, this random cat snake. Prowling Serpapard. I don't know how to pronounce that. And then this is the section that I call What's Yours is Mine. Essentially, they're all different types of clones effects or clone tokens, and create cloning tokens. And some of them allow me to repeat the effect in case I get a better creature out there, or if I just need a redundancy on some of my good creatures. I like this guy the best. What do you think of him? And this small segment of creatures that I refer to as where the hell did that come from? Alright, this one, Rashmi, I'm pretty sure you know, fairly new, and Prime Speaker Vanifar. Also Birthing Pod, basically Vanifar as an artifact. But this is an old card that lets me repeatedly search for an elf card and put it directly into play. You see where that can get dangerous. And now, how can I help you and how can you help me? Got a couple of mana fixing elves on each end of this. This one taps 4 creatures to destroy target artifact or enchantment. Vigor, one of my favorite cards from the original set that it came in, Lorwyn. Well-Wisher, also from the original set of Onslaught. And this one's from 7th edition, Seeker of Skybreak. All those tapping mana dorks, I get to untap target creature, or maybe I can use one of my tokens that had attack last turn, untap them, use as a blocker, gaining life for every creature coming into play. Green creatures gain flash, and I get to untap everything during every other player's untap step. And this one gives a power boost to my green and blue creatures and untaps all green or blue creatures during each other player's untap step. A little bit redundant, but they work on 2 different levels. And over here, Staff of Domination's a part of an engine that makes me go infinite. This one, during my turn, can help me go infinite too, or darn near anyways. And Kamal Fisicrosa, I have a soft spot in my heart for this guy. If you knew his story, you would too. But it helps pump up my creatures insanely. And for those times of nasty board wipes, it also gets rid of their lands. Lovely. And slows them down because every time a permanent deals damage to me, it's returned to its owner's hand. And a couple of those little untap effects or tapping and targeting and stuff like that, I can turn it into a rescue for my creatures or just force my opponent to not target any of their own stuff with stuff like Giant Growth. Combat tricks become a little hard here. And massive destruction of artifacts and enchantments, especially if we have an Artifacts or Enchantment Matters deck that we're facing. Then there's my Growing Light Rights of Itlamoth. I love this one. It's a pseudo search for a creature card, and as you've seen from another deck I have, is also a pseudo Gaia's Cradle. Now this is the come on back part. It's basically just recursion, because if the game goes long or I do a lot of stuff's gonna end up in the graveyard, and hopefully I can get it back before somebody gets rid of my graveyard. Then this small section of it takes 2 to tap dance. Read this one carefully, especially with as many creatures as I tap. I can pretty much put almost all of my basic land cards from the beginning of the game into play. This one, makes it hard for my opponents to try and target my creatures, but it also helps with regeneration because creatures get destroyed, get tapped. And when I attack, also tapping. Look at that. I'm pretty sure you know this card, but I just had to focus in a little bit more on the +5/+5. All those mana dorks are suddenly giants. Oh, and also Throne of the God Pharaoh. At the beginning of my end step, each opponent loses life equal to the number of tapped creatures I control. I wonder how many creatures I can tap very early in the game. Mwahahaha, yet again. Well, Cody, that's my... I refer that as my STD, Simic Transmitted Doom. And there's no particular reason that I put the card right there and I'm panning out. Hope you like the deck, and just the deck.